Hey everyone, today we have another Coco Flow. These are really slow, sweet, stretchy classes that stay pretty close to the ground. And in particular today we're focusing on the lower body and the spine. In today's practice, I really wanted to bring in this concept of mindfulness, which I'm sure you've heard of before. It is a key term within any sort of yoga, meditation, any sort of practice that revolves around paying attention to ourselves. And in particular, we're wanting to focus on paying attention to the different sensations that we're feeling in our body, the different thoughts and emotions that come up into our mind. And it's when we can pay attention and notice these things where we can start to kind of take control of them. We can choose a different path. We can shift the sensation. I've got a little quote that I'll read very soon about that. But for the moment, let's get started on our backs. And we're going to start in Baddha Konasana, our bound angle pose. If you would prefer to feel a little more supported in this, you can grab 2 blocks. And as you roll down onto your back and you bring the soles of the feet together and the knees wide, you can slot the blocks underneath the knees or the thighs. If you needed a bit more support, you could lift them up a little higher. If you really liked the feeling of no blocks, just letting the knees kind of drop in the direction of the ground, then you could remove them to the side as well. We'll just stay here for a couple of minutes, just starting to ease into our practice. Noticing the opening happening within our hips, within potentially our adductors, the inner of the thighs. Maybe you feel this elsewhere too. Let's slow down the breath, breathing in through the nose, breathing into the belly and the ribs. Slow breath out through the nose. Letting this send a wave of heaviness, of softness through the body. Relax the eyebrows, soften the eyelids, relax the jaw, relax the lips. We'll just stay here for another minute or so, focusing on our breath. Noticing sensations as they come in, noticing thoughts, noticing any feelings that are present within your heart at the moment. The quote that I'm going to read is from the book, The Body Keeps a Score, which is a book around trauma. And there's a passage here which is about mindfulness and how it's really important when we are healing. Whether we have trauma or not, I think we can all resonate with this to some extent. Body awareness puts us in touch with our inner world, the landscape of our organism. Simply noticing our annoyance, nervousness, or anxiety immediately helps us shift our perspective and opens up new options other than our automatic, habitual reactions. Mindfulness puts us in touch with the transitory nature of our feelings and perceptions. When we pay focused attention to our bodily sensations, we can recognize the ebb and flow of our emotions, and with that, increase our control over them. Let's take another 3 slow breaths here. Maybe you use the hands to help the knees towards each other. And then pull the knees towards the chest. You could have the feet separate, or you could cross the feet over. Maybe there's a gentle rock from side to side. Hug the hands behind the back of the thighs. You might stay in this bent position, or you could play with lengthening the legs up towards the sky and then bending them again. It doesn't have to be big, it could be really small. And breathing in a way that feels good for you here. Maybe you feel a bit of sensation through the back of the legs, the hamstrings, maybe into the back. Bend the knees again. Take your hands on top of the knees and create some small circles in a clockwise direction. Noticing that really subtle shift in our hips as we roll kind of from the right side of our hips to the left side of our hips. And then swapping directions of the circle. And then you might go opposite directions with the knees, taking them around in one way. Then maybe the other way. Maybe if it feels good, you could hang out knees out a little more. Maybe there's a subtle pulse up and down. Opening a little bit more into the adductors. Extend the left leg long on the ground. Pull the right knee towards the chest, but take the arms out wide into a T. Cross the right knee over to the left. So you're twisting the spine. Try to keep the right shoulder down on the ground. Pull the right knee back into the chest, and then take the right knee out towards the right side of the mat. Let it dangle down without letting the left hip come off. Circle it down a little more, and then back over into your twist. So you might like to inhale as you open up through the nose, and then as you exhale through the nose, circling the knee down into your twist. And take a couple more like this. And if you did feel like a little more, you could try and straighten the leg a little more. It doesn't have to be completely straight. Might notice the core activates slightly if you are taking the leg out longer. You're increasing the torque that you're experiencing, meaning the load becomes further away from the body, so your muscles have to work harder to support this weight. And then maybe you hang out in your twist. Maybe the knee stays bent, or you can extend the foot out. Left hand could come around the calf, or maybe the foot. Eye gaze could also turn down the right arm if that feels comfortable. Breathe into the ribs. Breathe out. And swap the legs over. Right leg lengthens. Keep the arms wide as you pull the left knee towards the chest. And then draw the left knee across to the right. You might shuffle your hips back towards the center line before you do so to increase the rotation. And then roll back onto your back. Lift the left knee towards the chest. Circle a little round towards the left. Down. And then back over to the right. Just trying a couple more circles like this in your own time. Noticing if this feels easy or if it feels quite challenging. What else are you noticing? For me, my hip clicks quite a lot as I extend my leg away. It doesn't feel painful, it's just weird. Nice, and then coming back into that twist, maybe the left knee is bent, maybe the left leg's a little longer, right arm might come down the leg. Maybe the eye gaze turns to the left. One more breath. Roll yourself back. Grab the back of one or two legs, roll yourself up just a little bit. We're going to come into somewhat of a supported fish pose. Elbows come up underneath the shoulders on the ground, hands by the sides. If you prefer to make this really passive, you can grab a block and maybe bring it underneath the ribs and you just kind of chill out there. If you wanted to make this a bit more active, then you can lose the block. You want to think about lifting your chest up. And the more you lift your chest up and you extend the spine, the greater the stretch through the front of the chest and the shoulders. If you're not quite feeling anything, that's okay. Maybe you shift from side to side, see if that changes the sensation. One more. Can you lift the chest and belly up a little higher? And then push up through your hands. We're going to come into a figure four. So bring the hands behind you. Let's plant the right foot down and hook the left ankle over the right thigh. You can adjust your stance here to find a taller spine. So you can walk your hands a little further back. You can even come down onto the elbows if that feels better. Lift up nice and tall. Might feel good to just drop the knees from side to side. Feel the left knee pull away from you. That's going to increase the rotation you're experiencing through the hip, meaning maybe a bit more stretch through the glute. You might even drop your legs all the way over to the right. And then come back. And then come back over onto your right. Lift up tall. And then press your left hand on the inside of the left leg. Push the left knee away. And I encourage you today, just kind of shift around, move in a way that feels good. Maybe you lift up a little taller. What does that do to the stretch? We are going to add on a little bit of a twist here. So turn your left fingertips down, so kind of pointing in the direction of the ankle. Lift up tall, turn the chest to the right, and then as you exhale, drop the chest down. You're going to push your left hand into the thigh, feeling the twist through the spine. For me, this feels really good for my back and upper shoulders. Breathe in, lift tall, bend the left elbow a little more, and then as you exhale, push the left arm into the leg, drop the chest. One more. Come back through center, finding a cross-legged position. Right foot tucks into the left hip. Left foot could cross in front of the right shin. You could also take it a little further up the leg if you'd prefer. Maybe it's towards the right hip crease. We're going to fold forward. Breathe in, lift tall. As you exhale, walk your hands forward. Maybe it's just hands today, or maybe the elbows come down as well. Relaxing the head. For me, I feel this quite a lot in my left glute. Two more slow breaths. And walk yourself back. Let's try this on the other side. So, left foot plants, you might lift your hips up first to cross the right ankle over the thigh. Again, adjust your stance as you need, maybe walking hands back or elbows down. Shift from side to side. And we want to find a neutral spine here, which means lifting up nice and tall. When we can find a neutral spine, it means our pelvis is tilted in a way that encourages more of a stretch through the glutes. You might drop the legs over towards the left, and then coming back. Let's drop them over again. Just play here, maybe pushing the right hand into the right thigh. Maybe lifting up a little bit. And then eventually walk that left hand back out. Right hand comes onto the right thigh. Turn the fingertips down. Breathe in, lift up tall. As you exhale, push the right hand into the thigh. Drop the right shoulder down. You're using that thigh as kind of leverage to get more rotation through the spine. Breathe in, lift tall. Exhale to twist. One more. Nice, come back through center, finding our cross-legged, maybe that Sukhasana, easy pose with the right foot crossed in front of the left. Or you can cross the right ankle, maybe up onto the left shin, maybe up onto the left inner thigh. Shuffle your hips back a little bit, maybe you use your hands to pull the glutes up. Breathe in, lift up nice and tall. And then as you exhale, let's fold forward. Let's go one more slow breath. And walk yourself up. We're going to lie down onto our bellies. From there, we're going to find a reclined tree pose. So bend your right knee. You might like to hook kind of the right toes on top of the left knee or somewhere up or down the leg. You can also just dangle it out to the side a little bit more. Hands could stack underneath the head. If you did feel like a little more, you could take the right knee up a little higher. Another option is to extend the right foot out a little more. And you can kind of wiggle your foot up enough so that you can kind of feel a stretch through your adductors again, maybe a little bit of the hamstring. See if you can pull your right hip towards the ground if you're taking that option. Get heavy through the body. And one more slow breath. If your leg is extended, let's bend it again. Slide the right knee next to the left. Come up onto your forearms. Setting up for a half frog pose, Bakasana. You might turn your left hand in slightly and then reach around to hold onto your right ankle, and maybe you just pull it in. At any point you could come down and bring your head down onto the ground again, making it a bit more passive. If you're feeling quite open today, what you might be able to do is flip the grip. So rather than being around the outside of the ankle, you might bring your hand around so that the hands are on top of the foot and that the fingertips are pointing forward. And you might even wrap them around your toes. This way, again, you're kind of using your arm as leverage to push the foot towards the ground, getting a bit more of a stretch through the right quads. We're internally rotating the femur bone slightly, which is quite good because we've done a lot of external rotation so far. Sometimes I like to kind of wiggle my foot around a little bit. If you are pushing it down, take it out and in a few times. One more breath. Release the foot. I'm going to try that sequence on the other side. So start by finding your reclined, or I should say prone tree. You could keep the left toes maybe on the right leg. They could come off the leg. You could lift the knee up a little higher. You could also extend the left foot out a little longer. Maybe you wiggle your foot up to find your stretch of choice. Take some slow breaths here. Breathing into the ribs. And then as you breathe out, letting tension go maybe around the face, maybe around your right leg, so the leg that's long on the mat.
One more breath. If your left leg is straight, then bend it again. Come up onto your forearms. Right hand traveling in. Left hand might come around to hold onto the ankle. Again, you could just kind of lie down, pulling the left foot in. Maybe there's a little squeeze of the glutes as you push your hips to the ground. If you wanted to work your way towards your frog, again, you'll flip the grip so that the palms on top of your hand, your fingertips are facing forward, your left elbow coming up. Using the force of the forearm to push the left foot down. And depending on how your body is feeling, you might feel a stretch through the front of the left chest too. One more slow breath. Releasing the left foot. Hands by the ribs, push up onto your knees. Shuffle yourself forward. We're going to continue with that internal rotation a little bit more, but from a seated position. Blocks might come in handy here if you're feeling a little tighter in your hips. Extend your left foot out and then tuck your right foot in. And ideally, we want to try get the top of the right foot on the ground. If this feels quite uncomfortable for the hips, the knees, the ankles, you can grab a block, maybe slide it to underneath your hips, and that's just going to reduce some of the tension. Bend your knee your left knee as much as you need here, breathing in, lifting up nice and tall. And then as you exhale, folding forward. Might not be very far. Relaxing the back of the head, subtle tuck of the chin towards the chest. Notice if you can shift some weight into your right hip, which is going to increase the internal rotation of the right leg a little more. One more breath. Lifting up, swapping to the other side, tucking that left foot in, sliding the right foot out. It's a really good one for kind of opening through the left leg, left ankle. Also getting a stretch through the back of the hamstring maybe. Breathing in, lifting tall. Breathing out, walking forward. If you feel quite a lot of sensation in your left knee, it's probably that you've gone a little too far. Maybe your hips are too close to the ground. So you might like to lift your hips up a little higher. If you don't have a block nearby, then grab some pillows or just back out of the stretch and rest. Let's go one more breath. Lifting yourself up. We're going to try for our full Virasana, which is our full hero's pose. Similar position, but it might turn it into a little bit more of a back bend. for some of us. Again, maybe a block comes in handy here as you sink your hips down onto your heels. You sink your hips down onto the block, knees together, feet wider than your hips, tops of the feet on the ground. If you need more blocks, pull them, bring them in. If you're feeling comfortable without the blocks, you might release. If you're on the blocks, I'd probably encourage you to stay there, or maybe you can recline your hands slightly. If you're all the way down on the ground, you might feel comfortable kind of tucking your tail and maybe coming down onto elbows. Maybe it feels comfortable coming down onto your back. I wouldn't recommend this if you're on your block, just because it can increase your extension through your hips and your back potentially a little too much. And we'll take about 5 to 8 really slow breaths here. Noticing where we're feeling sensation. Noticing how it feels for our body, not just our physical body, but maybe for our energetic body. Does it feel quite open? Maybe energetic, grounding. Two more slow breaths. If you're on your back, take your hands around your ankles. Push the elbows down into the ground. Lift yourself up. Sweep your feet to one side. And then bringing your feet out in front of you. Maybe there's a little jiggle of the knees here just to release through the knees, the ankles, the back. We're going to counter that back bend with a forward bend. If you did have a block or two nearby, this can feel really nice for our head to be a bit more passive. You can kind of maybe stack the blocks up how you need to. Maybe you're on a higher setting as you fold forward, just so that you can kind of release the back, the neck. And if the position of the blocks felt okay, you could always drop it down a level just to increase the stretch through the back of the body, maybe through the hamstrings. Slow breaths, breathe into the back of the ribs here. As you breathe in, feeling the ribs expand to the sky as well as to the sides of the mat. And then as you exhale, softening even more. Relaxing the body. Take 2 more breaths like this. And then start to walk up. Place the blocks to one side and then roll back onto your back. Maybe finding happy baby. Taking the hands around the outsides of the feet. And maybe you stay here, or you could extend the feet out to the side. We love construction in a relaxing class. If you've got your feet a little wider, maybe you have peace fingers around your big toes. Maybe the hands are around the insides of the legs, maybe the outsides of the legs. Yeah, maybe there's a gentle pulse up and down. If there are any final movements you'd like to take before we rest, then I encourage you to find that. Otherwise, let's sit up in Shavasana. You could have the legs out long here, or maybe the feet are wide, the knees are knocking towards each other. See if you can slow the breath down. Being mindful of whatever you're experiencing in this moment. And just like I said at the beginning, once we are mindful, once we are aware, it means that we're able to make change the course, to take control of what is going on within our experience. Let's take a deeper breath. If you wanted to stay in Shavasana for a little longer, maybe after this video, then please feel free to stay here. Otherwise, we'll make our way up into a seat to shift out of our practice.
lifting up nice and tall. We'll finish with a breath, breathing in through the nose, taking a breath out through the mouth. Thank you, my friends. I really hope that you enjoyed today's practice. Let me know how you found it down in the comments below. And if you haven't already, give this class a thumbs up, subscribe. And if you wanted any longer, more exclusive content, then we have all of that in our Patreon account. I'll leave the link for that down below. Can't wait to move with you again sometime soon.